This is the new and improved EMOVE Cruiser. And in this review, we're going to talk about the 4 unique upgrades that made what was already one of the best long-range electric scooters even better. Those upgrades include semi-hydraulic brakes, an IP67 water resistance rating, an LG battery, and tubeless pneumatic tires. This is Chuck with Electric Scooter Guide, the industry-leading source for unbiased electric scooter reviews. If you want us to keep making more electric scooter videos, make sure to subscribe to our channel, and if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. So the one big thing about this scooter that's really different, and something that's different than basically any other scooter out there except for the boosted rev, is its water resistance rating, which is an IP67 rating. What it really means is that you can submerge it in 1 meter of water. We don't recommend that, but getting it in, riding the scooter in the rain should be actually no problem. So starting here at the handlebars, one thing that's real different than the old EMOVE Cruiser is that the handlebars do not slip, or the grips actually don't rotate anymore. You can if you really try hard, but they're not rotating out of place on their own. The brakes are new and improved. Of course, they are semi-hydraulic, and so you've got the front on the right hand, the rear on the left hand. They've got a real smooth activation to them, and you can see down there, they've got a real big brake caliper, so it's nice and smooth and easy to pull down. No problem at all. The display is still a finger kind of trigger style throttle like this, which we don't love as much as the thumb style, but this is generally what you'll find on most every electric scooter. There's one kind of hidden feature that a lot of people don't know about that's on this one and many more, is actually a USB port, and I plugged it into my phone, and I think it's around 2 amps, which is actually not too bad. It would charge my phone in about 3 hours, so you can plug in a USB cord right here, and if you've got your phone mount, you can actually have that plugged into your phone while you're riding if you need, if you need your phone out for directions or whatnot. Also new in this model is a voltage kind of ignition switch. So you can see here, you've got a key. So you got the key here, and you can plug that in right here. And now you've got your voltage as well as an ignition kind of cutoff switch. So now it works. And of course, if you take the key out, it shuts everything down. So that's a nice, it's a nice new feature for this year's model. The other really cool thing, again, a lot of people don't notice this, but when you're trying to get an electric scooter fixed, one of the hard things is how hard it is to kind of replace parts on a scooter. With this scooter, they did actually change a lot of other things, and one of those things was that you can actually pull these right out. It's coming, there it goes. That's probably your water resistance rating right there. So as you can see, it's a 6-pin connector, and when you want to replace something like this, you actually just unscrew the 4 little screws here, and you can take this whole piece off. So if it's not working right, or you have an issue with it or whatever, not only this, but also this brake caliper, the other brake caliper, and your left side, your turn signal, your lights, and your horn, all the pieces here you can see have a connector, and you can pull them right apart and replace them when you need to. Over here on the left side, right, obviously that's a light symbol, not a horn symbol. And so you've got your lights here, which basically just turn on the front light, as you can see right there. There is a switch on the deck if you want to turn on the front button lights, as you can see here. To turn all the button lights on, you actually just press this button, and I don't know if you can see there in the camera, but it turns both the front and the rear on and off. You also have turn signal, so it's one of the few scooters with turn signal. So you just click that left, back to neutral, and then you can click it right, and you not only get that sound, but you'll get a little yellow light coming out the back of the scooter, which is kind of cool. You don't really see it well in daylight, but if you're riding at night, I think it's somewhat seeable. Yeah, it's a small yellow light. It's not huge. Finally, you've got a horn, which is this green button right below, and it sounds like this. Pretty darn loud. You definitely a little bit, when you're riding next to bicycles or other scooters, it is a little jarring for them, but if you're riding in traffic with cars, that is what you need. As you can see on the front light, just like up on a lot of the components up on the handlebars, you've got the same kind of quick release 6-pin power connector, which again, when you want to change out this light for something more bright, or you break it, you need a new one, whatever, you can simply just pop this off and replace the light. On the old EMOVE Cruiser, you know, you can see the light's in the same position, but check it out. When you want to replace this light, look, it's wired all the way through the scooter, and I don't even know how you'd replace that light. It would definitely be more difficult than just popping one off and popping it back on. So definitely a nice little thing that Voro Motors did to help with repairs, basically. All right, so on the new one, of course, you have these 6-pin connectors. You got 2 on each side, so all these components can be easily swapped out if something happens, if you break it, or if you just want a different type of component. Same thing with the light. So when you're ready to fold the scooter, you just pop these collars outwards. There's even an arrow in case you forget which way that they go. They can only go one way. Pop them out. You unlatch the little stem telescoping mechanism here. Push that down. Okay. You can go all the way down. That's what she said. And then you can also, then the next thing you do is you can see here, this is your kind of stem hinge. It's a pin style, which we really like because there's absolutely no wobble in this scooter. Let me just push it back up real quick. And you can see right now, the only wobble is just the whole scooter moving, but the stem itself has almost no play. I would say 0.5 millimeter of play, if that, in the actual stem, which is very, very good. So that's one thing that we really like about this scooter, is the stem is very, very solid, and that's because it's got this style lock. So what you do to pull this out is, you know, it's not going to come out just regular. You actually kind of push forward on the stem itself, and then you can see it comes out pretty easy. So you just have to put a little bit of pressure between the deck and the stem. I just sit on it. Kind of works for me. Anyway, so this goes down, and it will lock in. You can see this hole right here. That's where the pin is gonna pop in. There it goes. And now, right, you can lift the scooter up like this, because it's locked in there. So you can lift it with one hand, and the scooter weighs about 55, 56 pounds. So it's, you know, you can carry it, but it's not something that you're gonna wanna carry for extended periods of time. On the front of the scooter here, one of the big differences is this 10-inch tubeless pneumatic tire, which is fantastic. It's not losing any air pressure at all. They did a really good job with this tire. It's new for this year versus the inner tube style tire that they used to have. So it's 10 inches and it's tubeless pneumatic. The deal with tubeless pneumatic is that you're less prone to flats, and if you get a flat, it's more likely that you can seal it up with tire slime rather than having to replace the whole tire. Also, the suspension, I don't believe changed at all, and you still have this kind of coil style suspension. And then here on the left, you can see, we should clean this a little bit, but you've got the semi-hydraulic brakes here on the left. We measured the stopping distance, as we do on all scooters, from 15 miles an hour to 0. This had a very impressive stopping distance of only 11.4 feet, which is among the best scooters in the world right now for stopping distance. And a lot of that's due to the semi-hydraulic brakes, the large ventilated disc right here, and you've got, of course, one in the back as well. The old EMOVE Cruiser got exactly double the distance, actually, it got 22.8 feet, so definitely not anywhere near as good as this bad boy right here. So it's quite safe, right? For safety, you always want pneumatic tires because they help with comfort, safety, and stability, performance, all those things. They dampen the ride as well. And then you also want good suspension. That also does help for safety, especially when you're going over a little bump in the road. And then finally, you want really good stopping distance, which this scooter has. The only thing really missing from the scooter in terms of safety is a higher mounted front light. So it's got the rear lights, got 3 of them. It's got 3 in the front, but if you want to be extra safe, which you do, you're going to want to put a high mounted front light, and we have a link in the video description to our favorite light, which is it's a rechargeable, it's 750 lumens, it's really good. So as you can see here also in this area, you can lock up your scooter pretty easily because there's all these different loops to put either a U-lock or a cable style lock or even a link style lock. All of them will work with this type of lock, and so it's quite convenient and better than many scooters out there. Moving down to the deck is really big and really comfortable. It's actually 23.5 inches long by 10 inches wide, so there's plenty of room for you to spread your feet out. Here I can even kind of show you what it looks like with someone with 9-inch shoes. You've got a good amount of distance, so the front one can go there, the rear one, a good comfortable position is like this, and you know, you got your feet spread pretty far apart, which is really nice when you're going fast, you're accelerating, you're braking hard. You do want your feet a little bit further apart, and this scooter allows you to do that. All right, so in the deck, you've got a 1560 watt-hour LG battery. That is an upgrade, not in size, but in battery type from the previous version. What that does for you is it gives you a massive range of 50.3 tested miles. So we did our range test on this scooter as we do on all the others. The previous record, EMOVE Cruiser had the record, the old one with around 30 miles. Then we tested the Wolf Warrior, that got 42 miles. When we got this blew all of them away with 50.3 miles of tested range. Quite good. In the back wheel is where the rear motor is located. It's a 600 watt nominal, 1600 peak watt motor. So it gets really good efficiency, but when you need it, it also can put in a little burst of power. That's why its 0 to 15 time is actually really good. It did quite well on our 15 mile an hour acceleration tests. It beat out a lot of scooters that are, again, around the $1,000 range. But when you get closer to the $1,399 range, which this scooter is, that's when you get into dual motor scooters. And this scooter is definitely not as fast as those, but it still got up to 15 miles an hour in just 3.4 seconds. We also do a hill climb test where we're climbing up from a stop a 10% average grade hill. This scooter completed that test in just 11.4 seconds. Again, both of those marks beat out the old EMOVE Cruiser, which was totally capable before. It's not going to beat scooters like the Nan Robot, or if you go up in price, the Mantis or 10X, but this is a cruiser, it's not a racer. Also, you can see the suspension here in the rear, which works really well, and the other brake, along with the turn signals here right at the end. The only one kind of downside that a lot of people have noticed to this scooter is that the front fender, we've taken ours off, but what happens is with a heavier rider is that the wheel is actually kind of starting to rub on the fender itself, and that the simple fix that most people have used is just to kind of shave off a little part of that fender, and then they're just fine. I still think that the EMOVE Cruiser is the best commuter scooter out there. Just don't be taking turns on wet leaves, and don't be taking turns or fast brakes on manhole covers, of course. The EMOVE Cruiser is sold by Voro Motors here in the United States. They also have international shipping, but I think it's a couple $100 extra. Definitely check out the description because we do have a pretty significant coupon code for the scooter. Voro Motors as a seller is, I think it's worthy to point out that actually they are one of the best in terms of supporting you. So we did an anonymous email test a few months back where we emailed every single seller that we could find. Voro Motors actually had the fastest response time of just 3 minutes. So they win in terms of how quickly they will support you. This is Chuck Temple with the Electric Scooter Guide. I hope you enjoy watching this review. Ride safe, and don't forget to wear your helmet. If you're interested in a scooter that's the same price, but quite a bit faster, check out our review of the Nan Robot D5 Plus. If you want another cruiser type scooter that's a little bit less expensive, around $999, check out our review of the Skywalker 10S.